This conference will now be recorded.
Right, let's start today's session. In the last session of Python, we were discuss about we just started with multi-threading program, and also we discuss difference between single threading program and multi-threading program. So in the context of time saving, okay. So single threading program and multi-threading program we were discuss differences. And in today's session, I'm going to show you how many possible ways to create threads in Python. What are the possible ways to create threads in Python, sir? There are three different ways to create threads in Python. Okay, what are the three different ways? We'll see this. There are three different ways. So, to implement multi-threading programs in Python, we use generally threading module. So that's what we have imported threading module only. Using this threading module only, we can implement multiple threading program. Let's see this in today lecture. What are the possible ways to create threads in Python? There are three ways to create threads in Python. Three ways to create threads in Python programming. Option number one, creating a thread without using any class. Without using any class. Creating a thread without using any class. Next one is creating a thread by extending thread class. Creating a thread by extending thread class. Third one is creating a thread without extending any thread class. Without extending a thread class like this. So these are the three options are there. You want to create multiple threads, multi-threading programming. So we need to create a threads. But how many possible ways to create threads in Python means three ways. Option number one, creating a thread without using any class. Option number two, creating a thread by extending thread class. Option number three, creating a thread without extending any thread class. Without extending a thread class. I'm telling you option number one. Let's go to programmatic representation. Now I'm creating a new program with a name called thread3.py. Thread3.py. Now here observe, I'm saying that creating a thread without using any class. Without using any class means no class I'm using like this class name. Okay, not required. Without using any class means no class is required here. Okay, no class is required. Let's remove this class. I'm creating a thread. Normally, to implement multi-threading program, we use from threading import star. Okay, now I'm creating a fun function. In this f1 function, I'm writing some logic for I in range of 10. So this code is executed by child thread only. That's what I'm using, child thread printing. So so this is just hello. I'm saying hello. That repeat equal to something like this. This code is executed by which thread? Tell me. Anybody? Please answer me. So whenever the moment when I execute this def f1 function, I'm just defining the function called f1, and whenever the moment when I call f1 function, so is this f1 function is executing by thread right now? Is this f1 function is executing by thread? Any thread? Yes. What is that? Main thread. So as I said that by default, okay, in Python programming, every thread is having separate identity. So this program by default, every program is executing by main thread only. So this is executing by main thread. We don't have any threads right now. Look at this. We are calling f1 function. F1 function is calling. F1 function is printing hello statement. But this is going to be executed by what actually? Main thread only. But did I create any thread? No. Let's create thread. So this is the first option we have out of excuse me, out of three options. Three ways to create threads in Python. One is creating thread without using any class, creating a thread by extending thread class, creating a thread without extending any thread class. Let's see this creating a thread without using any class. I'm not using any class, but I want to create a thread. T equals to this thread class. But I'm saying creating a thread without using any class means it doesn't mean that it is not a thread class. Okay. Thread class is compulsory required. Normal class I'm saying. Did I use any normal class like this? CLS class like this? No. So this is I'm saying. Without using any class means no class is required. But to create threading or thread object, compulsory thread object is required, thread class is required. It's a built-in class which is coming from threading module. T equal to thread, and generally what function you are targeting by using this thread target equals to F1 function I'm taking. Now we can see you don't have F1 function any parameters. If you have any target function through thread object, any target function is having any parameters, then we can go for like this args equals to something. We don't have any parameters, no F1 function. That's what we are not supplying any parameters values args equal to something. T is a thread object equal to thread is a class of target equal to what actually F1 function. Okay, yes. Are you able to see the screen, all of you? Please confirm. Somebody is saying that it's not visible.
It's small
Please,
actually.
okay,
It's visible, but it is small. Screen is.
small. I don't know. Why screen is not visible? Just a moment. Now you can check now.
It's same
So
thing. I will send you. I will send a picture in WhatsApp. It's a smaller screen. Usually it's a big screen, but today it's like a small.
no, it's a same thing every day. How I said same thing only, but I think your laptop you have to do settings. But remaining students are getting screen. Mister, those who are not seeing the screen, please try to rejoin again. Okay, try to rejoin all of you. Those who are not able to see the screen. So you have opened your document, no? So I think you have opened some file concept documentation in your computer. That's not our screen, which we are seeing now. Please minimize the documentation, Sherry. Okay, okay. This is all correct
Yeah, I
only. It's
just
okay,
check
not.
now.
It's
Still
okay.
same
It's
thing.
good.
I.
It's okay. I'm seeing that what you said, but it's okay now. But those who are not having the screen, please rejoin. That is your mistake, your problem. It's not my side. All other students are getting clear screen. Now we can see we are executing this F1 function by using thread object T equal to thread class target equal to F1 function. Target is an attribute and which is used to target the function which you want to execute through this thread. But when this function will execute means whenever you are going to start a thread how we can start means compulsory we have to use what method? Start method. T dot start. The moment when we use T dot start method, then automatically now we can see this function will execute targeting. By using this function we are printing this hello, or else we can say this is executed by child thread. So every program is having internally main thread, but now we are creating our own thread object, that is T. This is child thread only. This function is going to be execute completely child thread only. Right click on it and run this. Now we got this child thread 10 times because we are using for loop I in range of 10. Now This is first option. You have how to create a thread using without using any class. In this program, observe here, did I use any class keyword? No keyword. So this is option number one, creating a thread without using any class. No class is available here. Not required to use any class for creating a thread. But look at this line number 5, 6, 7. Line number 5, 6, 7. Line number 5, 6, 7 are executed by what thread? T thread. T is a thread object here. Okay, T is a thread object. Line number 5, 6, 7 are executed by child thread T only. But apart from line number 5, 6, 7, if I have any other loop like for I in range of 10, now this code is going to be executed by what thread? Main thread, sir, obviously. Now you can see here I'm printing main thread, I'm printing. For I in range of 10, print main thread. This code is executed by main thread, line number 12 and 13. The code line number 5, 6, 7 we are referring through child thread. T is a child thread object, T equal to thread, target equal to F1. But rest of the code apart from 5, 6 lines, 5, 6, 7 lines of code executed by main thread only. Because internally for every program, main thread is in active mode only. So 12 and 13th line is executed by main thread. So right now how many threads are executing for our program? Two threads. Two threads. One is main thread. Next one is child thread. Child thread is T. Main thread is completely main thread only by default main thread. The moment when I run this, you will get here clearly. So main thread, child thread like this only. Output is completely irregular, sir. Look at this. It is irregular output. Why? Because two threads are running parallelly the program. That's what child thread, main thread is there. Okay, it is a common in every multi-threading program. Why? Because uh, when multiple threads are simultaneously executing your code, then output is irregular. Every execution to execution and every run to run, different output you will get. But can't we adjust the output properly? That means regularly. Yes, we can do, but we can use some techniques like thread synchronization techniques. I'll tell you what is the thread synchronization technique. But now my topic is how many possible ways to create a threads in Python. This is one possible way, creating a thread without using any class. I'm not using any class here. Without using any class, I'm trying to create a thread. It's possible. Next, we have option number 2 is there. What is that? Creating a thread by extending what class? Thread class. Creating a thread by extending thread class only. Let's see this. Creating a thread by extending thread class. Next program. Creating a thread by extending thread class. Python file. That means thread 14. Thread 14. Thread 4, sorry. Yeah. Now I'm commenting this. I'm showing another example. This is second way to create a threads in Python. Creating thread by extending thread class. So let's create a thread by extending class. For this purpose, okay, first we need to create a child class for our thread class. So in this case, first we have to create a child class for thread class. Yes, first we need to create a child class for what class? Thread class, sir. Let's create a child class for thread class from heading import star. I'm creating a child class like test class, which is inherited from what? Thread class. So I'm creating a child class for what class? Thread class only. This thread class is inherited from which module? Threading module. So our next concept is what actually? Creating a thread by extending thread class. Means this class is extending from thread class. It's a built-in class. Means it is inherited from thread class only. So first we have to create a child class for thread class. Yes, I have created child class for this thread class because this class is inherited from thread class. Automatically this class will become child class. In that class, we have to override override run method. Run method. Yes, run method is a built-in method. In that class, we have to override run method with our required task. With our required task. Yes, we can use run method here. Def run method. The moment when I try to use run method, now we can see it's a built-in method. It doesn't return anything, none by default, but we can write something in this method. So it's a predefined method, sir. Run method. So run method, and inside this run method, I am writing my own task purpose. Just I am using for I in range of any logic you can write. It's not a big deal, but just I'm taking here for I. So this code is executed by again child thread only. Let's go for child thread. So first we have to create child class for thread class. I have created child class, test class for thread class. This class is generated from thread class. In that class, we have to override run method. Yes, we have included run method in this with our required task. Required task means whatever we have a required task we have implemented in this run method. And next, whenever we call start method, whenever whenever we call start method, then automatically run method will execute with our required job. Run method will execute and perform required task only. Yes, sir. Run method will execute. Now we need to call start method. First, we need to create object for thread because thread object you have to create. Because creating a thread by extending thread class. So our class is test class, which is inherited from thread class. So let's try to create object for a test class. Do you think is this the thread object? Yes. Why we are thinking this is T is a thread object? Because generally, normally to create a thread object, we have to use like this thread class like this. But we need to create now this time what actually we need to create object for our class equal to test class. This T is the thread object only. Why? Because test class is inherited from what? Thread class only. So automatically this test class is become thread class only. Test of thread T equal to test. Now here, whenever we start, whenever we call start method, generally if you want to execute the thread, we need to start. So T dot start method. The moment when we call start method, automatically what will happen? Run method will execute and it will perform required task only. So this is what creating a thread by extending thread class. Yes, we are creating thread for our class test. This class is inherited or extending from what? Thread class only. This is another technique. So in this we have to override run method compulsory. Whenever we call start method, automatically run method will execute and it will begin the logic here, whatever we have written like this. 5 times child thread will execute. When we don't start thread, what will happen, sir? Then thread will not execute. Thread will not execute means your code will not run. Compulsory start method is required. Once we create object for test class, thread class, and we have to start the thread, then only run method will begin the execution. Inside the run method, what logic you have written, that logic will work also. So this is what creating thread by extending thread class. So first we need to create a child class for thread class. Yes, I have created class. This class is inherited from thread class. In that class, we have to override run method. Yes, we are using run method. It's a built-in method with our required task. My task is this one. And whenever we call start method, then automatically run method will execute. Yes, run method will execute when we call start method clearly. So this is second way of creating thread in Python. And number three, creating a thread without extending any class means no need to inherit any class. Normally test class is there, no? Yes, that's enough. But here test class is inherited from thread class but not required, that is creating a thread without extending any thread class. Let's see this how it is. Thread 5 I'm taking now. Thread 5. Now here from heading import star. Now I'm trying to say this is just a comment section. Creating a thread without extending any class, sir. No extension of the class, not required. Creating a thread without extending any thread class. So how to create a thread without extending any thread class means, first let me create a class name is test. So once I use, that is class name is test, then in this test class, so I'm trying to use this function dff1 function and function within the class. Generally class contains method, no, so I'm including one method for I in range of 10, then print what I can say child thread, as this code always executed by child thread. Now I'm creating a thread without extending any thread class, but do you think this class is inherited or extending from thread class, predefined thread class? No, it's our own class, normal class it is. How we created in previous lectures object-oriented programming classes, thread a normal class, it is normal class only. It's not about any thread class, sir. Okay, yes. Now I'm trying to create object for t equal to test. Now next, do you think t is an object of thread class? No, it's a normal class object. T is a normal class object only. It's not about thread class object. But what about thread class? T1 equal to thread, T1 equal to thread. This is called thread object, T1 equal to thread. But using this T1, we have to target the function or not? Yes, function I am targeting F1. Look at this F1 function available inside the class test only. If it is directly available F1 function, you can call directly target equal to F1. In my previous lecture, we have seen like this. If you can see this, F1 function directly is there. There is no class is involving. That's what here T equal to thread class target equal to F1. If it is directly available, we can pass directly F1. But in this program, what is there? F1 is present inside the class. But who will represent this class? T will represent this class. T means what? Object of the class. To access or to use this F1 function from this class, what is required? T is required. So that's what directly F1 is not possible. T dot F1 is possible. Target equal to T dot F1. Now T1 dot start. That's it. Simple. So this is the third way of creating thread. The moment when we go for this one, creating a thread without extending any class. Did I extend thread class of my class? No. Only I have only class, that is normal class. In that class I have included some function. In that function I have implemented some logic, and I just create object for this class, and later I have created object for thread class, and through thread I want to run this f1 function which is available inside the class. But this, if you want to consult with this f1 function, first you have to communicate with test. So how communication with test means? T object only, T dot f1 function calling here. So this is creating thread without extending any thread class. No extension of thread class, only class. And this is creating thread by extending thread class. This class is extension, thread class is inherited. Next, first one, creating a thread without using any class. No class is required. Directly you can create thread object. Directly you can call the required function like this target function through. So these are the three different ways to create threads in Python. So I'm showing all three ways. Any option you can choose like this, depends on situation. Your functions are present inside the class means we can create object for your thread, your class. That thread, that class object through we can call the thread functions. Okay. Or else if you don't have any class, directly we have a functions. If you want to call that function through thread means directly you can call it. So like this. So these are the three different ways to create threads in Python. After that, we need to create one more important thing, thread identification number. Thread identification number. Identification number. What is thread identification number? See, every uh, thread is having its own identification number, sir.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah, most of the time we can use this, what we can say, this two only. First one and second one. Creating a thread without using any class, and creating a thread with what we can say without extending any thread class. This one is recommend and this one is recommend, but this one is not recommend because we have to override run method for our task only. So automatically whenever we call start method, run method through only we have to perform our logic. Either you can go for this one directly. If you have a function now, create a thread to this thread
Yeah.
class t dot f1 function, or else you can
Okay.
go for, sometimes we can have the classes also. Inside the class our methods are there. That methods you want to run through thread means first you have to create object for test class, and through this object only we can call that function. This one is recommended.
Okay.
Now thread identification number. See, generally every thread is having its own identification number, sir. So generally main thread is a default thread, no, for every program in Python, main thread. But main thread is having its own identification number, and child threads also having its own identification number. All threads are having identification number, but we don't use any identification number as a programmer. But internally, Python interpreter will use that identification number, because Python interpreter has to know clearly which thread is for creating for what purpose. So every thread is having unique ID. Unique ID means identification number is there. But how we can identify the thread identification number as a programmer means we have some facility to get the thread identification number. Then we use ident variable. This is the implicit variable. This variable through we can able to get thread identification number. But every execution to execution, the thread identification number is completely different, sir. It's not same. So if you want to identify the thread, or if you want to get thread identification number, then in Python we use what variable? Ident variable is there. This ident variable is a implicit variable. This variable through only we can able to get the thread identification number. So ident is an implicit variable. This variable through we can get thread identification number. Let's see this quickly. I'm writing program, main thread and child thread identification number both I will try to get. How it will be, you can see this. Thread 6. Now here from threading import star, and I'm trying to create one function like f1, and I can say this here, print hello. Okay. Then t1 equal to, t1 is my thread, target equal to f1, fine, t1 dot start. After starting I want to find, so main thread identification. First I'll try to show main thread identification number. Identification number. Main thread identification number purpose we use what actually? Current thread dot ident only. Ident is a variable, current thread is a method. Current thread is always refer main thread only, sir. Okay. Then next print child thread identification number. Child thread identification number. Child thread identification number. Child thread identification number means child thread is what here? T1. Child thread is a T1 only. T1 dot what we have to use? Ident only. So if you are finding child thread identification number means we have to use child thread object T1. Main thread identification number means we have to use current thread function. Current thread means it represents main thread only. So I'm saying every thread is having its own identification number. When we start execution, we will get two identification numbers differently. So hello is printing because of we are targeting f1 function. We are executing f1 function, because of f1 function hello is coming. But you can look at this main thread identification number is 19488. Child thread identification number is 23920. But this identification number will not be same for every execution. Execution to execution number is going to be changed. Look at this. Yes, obviously. But this identification number is important for interpreter for recognizing the threads. But as a programmer, we are not going to do much more about this thread identification number, because we don't require that identification number at all. So we don't use any identification numbers actually. So this is the way to find thread identification number. Next, a few methods are there. Okay, so important methods available in multi-threading concept. So what are the methods means that? Let's write this. These are the methods we need to discuss. So active count method, active underscore count method is there. Active count method purpose is what actually? This method purpose is to check how many threads are currently running right now. This function returns the number of active threads currently running. To count function returns the number of threads currently running. Number of threads currently running, sir. How many number of threads currently running do you want to check? Then we can apply active count function. Generally, by default, apart from our own creation threads, means child threads, I'm not speaking about child threads. Normally, usually every program is having one thread that is called what? Main thread only, no? Yes, main thread. So by default, active count function will return what? Count value 1 only, sir. Why 1? Because main thread. So one thread is there by default. This is the active count number. Because by default, every Python program is having one thread inbuilt, main thread. Suppose if I create T1, T2, T3, three threads I'm creating in my program according to my requirement. Next, after creating T1, T2, T3 threads, total active count how much, sir? 4. Why? Because one is main thread, default count, and later we just created in our program T1, T2, T3, three threads objects are there, 3. 3 plus 1, 4. But once T1 thread is executed, T2 thread is executed, T3 thread is executed. T1, T2, T3 has ended, means execution is completed. Now active threads are how much again? 1 only. Yes, 1 only. Because once before thread creation or before child threads are running, active count is 1 only because of main thread. Once child threads are started execution T1, T2 to T3, three more threads also included. 3 plus 1, 4. Total active threads are 4. Next, 1 is there. Why? Because T1, T2, T3's execution is completed. Last, finally, one thread only active count. This is the output same we are looking in this program. You can see this. How to work with active count function. This active count function is just for checking how many threads are currently executing your program only, sir. Okay, just to show how many uh, threads are currently executing. In that process, I'm writing from threading import star and import time also I'm taking. Just I want to waiting period I need to give import time. Time is a built-in module. And I'm creating F1 function here. The moment when we create F1 function here, I'm trying to print first current thread dot name. Okay, get name is there, but this name is deprecated. You know that deprecated means already deleted from the current version. Instead of this name, we have to use name only. In my documentation, still get name is there. Don't use this get name. Okay, instead of get name, we have to use what's our name attribute. Name attribute is there. It is new version introduced name. So this name is used for what? Getting the thread names. Yes, while creating threads, we can also provide the name of the threads are. What name you want to provide for your threads, you can also provide the name of the threads. Current thread dot name. Okay, current thread dot name, comma, and something started. I have to do this. Started. First thread started. For every thread, after I need to wait some 3 seconds. Again ending before starting, after starting, after ending, then I need to give some time period. So ended I'm giving now, ended. M dot sleep of 3 ended. Now here outside the function I'm writing, you can see this, the number of active threads. The number of active threads. Number of active threads. The number of active threads, active count function I have to use. So the number of active threads is active count. Active count is a built-in function. This function will return count is 1 only right now. But T1 thread I'm creating. T1 equal to thread, target equal to what function? F1. But I'm going to provide name of my thread also by using name attribute. Yes, we can go for, because you can come to know that which thread is running or started or ended. You have to know that. Child thread 1 I'm taking. T2 also I'm creating, again thread class, target equals to F1 and name equals to what actually, child thread 2. T3 equals to thread class. Now target equals to F1 again, name equals to child thread 3 like this. So T1, T2, T3, three threads are there. When this child threads will start means we have to start the function. T1 dot start, T2 dot start, T2, T3 dot start. So after that, look at this. After this started, child thread started also, I want to count again, print the number of active threads. How many are there? Look at this, number of active threads, how many? Time dot sleep of 5 seconds. Again, I'm waiting. Again, I want to call number of threads. Now look at this one by one, I'll explain. This overall, this total program, first line of code execution means line number 9 will execute, sir. Yes, obviously. Why line number 9 will execute, sir? The reason is here F1 function is there. This F1 function, when it will execute this body of the F1 function, because we have targeted this F1 function through my thread object T1, T2, T3 like this. So this F1 function will execute whenever T1 start, T2 start, T3 start like that. So otherwise it will not execute. No, yes. So first, whenever we start, interpreter will ignore these lines. Next interpreter will jump into this line. So number of active threads, active count, how much are here? It is 1, sir. 1. Because default thread is only 1 active. After 1, T1 started, T2 started, T3 started, F1 function is executed, F1 function is executed, T1 through child thread 1, T2 through child thread 2, T3 to child thread 3. So 3 more threads are activation. No? Now the count is right now here. What's are how much are here? 4. Because main thread is 1 plus 3 threads are there. 4 is their active count. But after waiting period 5 seconds, okay, every 3 seconds, one thread is going to be ended or not? Yes. So T1 is ended, T2 is ended, T3 is ended. Again, active count is finally what's are 1 only because 3 threads are executed. After completion of execution, only one thread is main thread only, active count only. So like this, 1 4 1, you will get outputs are. Look at this. I'm trying to run this. Now you can see the number of active threads are currently 1 in before starting threads. Once child thread 1 started, child thread 2 started, child thread 3 started, the number of active threads are what actually 4. But once child thread 1 ended, child thread 2 ended, child thread 3 ended, number of active threads are 1 only, sir. Don't look at the output. Obviously, we have multiple threads programming. So irregular output only will get, but we can make that output also regular by using some thread synchronization techniques. Now active threads, initially 1. Once child thread 1, child thread 2, child thread 3 started, total active count is 4. Once child thread 1, child thread 2, child thread 3 ended, number of active threads is 1 only again. This is exactly what's a active count function, how it will work. So active count function will return what's the number of threads currently how many are running. You can able to get the count. There is one more function is there, is alive function, is underscore alive. This function return true or false, sir. It won't return anything, but it return false, true or false. So this function is used to check whether a thread is still executing or not. This function is used to check whether whether a thread still executing or not. It will check if a thread still executing, okay, then isAlive function will return true. If thread is not executing, then isAlive function will return simply false. Already thread executed means isAlive function will return false. If still thread is executing currently means isAlive function will return simply true, sir. Here let's see how isAlive method will work. Same program, no change, but little bit slight changes are there. IsAlive method I am going to apply instead of active count only. Let's see this thread 8 I am taking, thread 8. So here I am taking from threading import star and import time. Import time. Okay, now So I'm creating function. So def f1 function I'm creating, and here I'm taking print this we have to copy and now place it. Current thread dot name, okay, started, time dot sleep, current thread dot name ended. But here we have to use what actually is alive function. So two threads I'm creating right now. T1 equal to thread target equal to f1, and the name of the thread also I can provide with name attribute. If you want to give name of the thread, you can use name attribute child thread 1. Next t2 equals to thread class target equal to f1, name equals to what actually child thread 2, t1 t2. Now t1 dot what actually I'm taking start, t2 dot start. Once I started, just I'm going to check is alive or not. Okay, let's see this. Print t1 dot name comma is alive, is alive, is alive. t1 dot what method I'm calling, is alive method I'm calling. This method will return true or false. Print t2 dot name comma is alive colon t2 dot is alive method is there. So this is the method will work, sir. Yes. After time dot sleep of 5 seconds, now again I'm just checking whether it is still alive or not. Let's run this once again. So after whenever the t1 t2 threads are executing still, then is alive method return true only, because the threads still are executing now. If once threads are executed complete, then is alive method simply return what, sir? False only, sir, because threads are executed completed, execution completed. Let's see this now. First, whenever I begin this, now you can see thread 1 started, thread 2 started, child thread 1 is alive true, child thread 2 is alive true, child thread 1 is ended, child thread 2 is ended. After ended child thread 1, child thread 2, then child thread 1 is alive false, child thread 2 is alive false. So if still executing or not, how do you know means we can cross verify by using is alive method. Once child thread 1 started, child thread 2 started, then what will happen? True is there, is alive. Once child thread 1 ended, child thread 2 ended, then active is alive method will return what's false only here. Child thread 1 ended, child thread 2 ended. Is alive method false only. So this is the case. Child thread 1, child thread 2 like this. This is ended, sir. Child thread 1 is alive false, child thread 2 is alive false. Before that, true only, true only. So this is alive function, is alive function here. It return true or false. And last function in today, like join function. Already this function I used it in my first example. So what is join function means simple. If a thread, if thread wants to wait, if thread wants to wait until completing some other thread, until completing 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 some other thread, until completing some other thread, then we should we should we should go for we should go for should go for join method. We should go for what method? Join method. If thread wants to wait until completing some other thread, then we should go for join method. See, this join method purpose is what? I'll explain you clearly. So here simple, sir. If main thread, if you want to make main thread wait for child thread, then we can use join function here. Let's see this how main thread will wait for child thread, how long time. Even there is a time limit also there or not. Let me check here. So from threading import star, import time, and let me create one simple function f1, and in this function I'm writing here just for I in range of 10, and after that what I'm trying to do, so here print what I can say child thread I'm taking here, child thread. This is executing by child thread only. Try in range of 10, print child thread. Fine. And I'm trying to do time dot sleep of 1, sir. Sleep of 1. Okay, waiting period. Now this function is having loop, and this function need to be execute the thread. So this is target function equals to what, actually f1, and we have to start thread t dot start. Fine. Now you can see this is thread object. This thread object is targeting what function? F1 function only here. And whenever we use this t dot start function, automatically this f1 function will execute. F1 function body is there, no child thread, it is going to be execute. Time dot sleep of 1 means, so 1 second it's wait, it will wait. But apart from this, here one more loop I am taking for I in range of 10. This code is executed by what, main thread, because two loops are there. This code is executed by main thread only. So here main thread, child thread. This code parallelly will run, which is executed by main thread, and this lines of code parallelly will run because which is executed by child thread t equal to target f1. So here two threads are running parallelly. Now you can see two threads are running parallelly. Child thread, main thread, again child thread, like this. Look at this parallel execution or not. So parallel executing this all. Now let's rerun again. Now you can see child thread, main thread, main thread, like this. But do you want to make wait main thread for child thread? Yes means we can use what function? Join function. Look at this. So here I am using t dot join. This line is going to be executed by main thread only. This line executed by main thread only, so that main thread will wait because of join method. Main thread will wait for what? Child thread only. So child thread will keep on execute until completion of child thread. Main thread is going to wait. Now you can see main thread is waiting now. After completion of child thread execution, then main thread is beginning now. Got it, my friend? So because of we are using join method. If I don't use join method, what will happen? No waiting. Main thread and child thread both are executing parallel. Now you can see child main, like this. No waiting here. But if I use join method here, main thread is going to wait for child thread. Once child thread started, it will wait until completion of child thread execution. After child thread execution only, then main thread will begin the execution. Okay, fine. But we can also set the time period for waiting. Okay, waiting period. For example, here I'm taking 5. T dot join of 5 means what? So here main thread is waiting only 5 seconds for child thread only, not much more time. Okay, it will wait only for 5 seconds. Only for 5 seconds means within the 5 seconds, how much code execute child thread will execute. But after 5 seconds over, main thread will not wait for child thread anymore. Main thread start execution now. Now you can see child thread, only 5 seconds is waiting. Then immediately main thread will execute. Rest of the time, child thread remaining code will be execute. Now you can see. First it is child thread, and after waiting 5 seconds time, immediately main thread start execution, it's complete. After that again child thread remaining execution is there, no, it will execute like this. So this is time period also we can set how much time wait. But imagine that, sir, I am giving time period time dot sleep of 1. So how much time usually take for executing child thread? 10 seconds, because every seconds one time 10 is there, 10 seconds. But I am using 50 seconds here. What does it mean? Do you think uh, main thread will wait for 50 seconds for child thread? No, because main thread, child thread is going to take total execution time is what, 10 seconds only. But you are asking main thread what, actually 50 seconds only. Not a problem. So even child thread is executing within 5 and 10 seconds, immediately main thread will start execution, because main thread will not wait 50 seconds. Only main thread will target until completion of child thread. But in case child thread is taking more than 50 seconds, then main thread will wait only 50 seconds. After that, main thread will execute. Remaining part, child thread will execute. So it doesn't mean that we are using 50 seconds means 50 seconds will wait main thread. No, because child thread is not taking that much of time to executing. No, 10 seconds after child thread is executed. But once child thread execution completed, main thread no need to wait for 50 seconds because of we are using time 50 seconds. Immediately will start. In case child thread time is taking 2 minutes time, for example, imagine that child thread execution is taking 2 minutes time. Then main thread will wait for child thread how much time? 50 seconds. After 50 seconds, immediately will start execution of main thread only. So this is the join function. Join function means if a thread wants to wait until completing some other thread, then we should go for join method here. So this is waiting period. Active count, is alive, join method, thread identification number. These are all threading basics. And we have important topic is there in the threading, that is called thread synchronization mechanism. That is very important in interviews. Lock technique or lock technique, semaphore technique is there, that we will discuss in tomorrow session. So next week I'm going to start Django. Mostly by this weekend I'm going to finish this Python course, and immediately I'm going to start Django. Django, I'm going to start morning 6:30 a.m. For all together. Morning 6 a.m. students also, some of them. Django course fee, I don't know, but you have to inquiry with them. If you not opted in the initial stage of Django with REST API we will teach. Okay, but both are there. Django with REST API.
Sir, I have
So
one question. Like currently, I'm working on Vue.js. Is Django is also quite close to Vue.js, or
no, it's a Vue.js is related to like Node.js, React.js, like that only extension, I think so. But it's not related. You can implement that also. React.js, Node.js also we can implement with Django web development. But how Vue.js it is affected, we don't know. We are not aware of that Vue.js. But it's a web development only. That is a framework only. Web development framework, I think so.
yes, sir, front-end web development?
Yeah. But in front end, we used in Django mostly HTML also we are not going to use because Django itself will prepare the HTML tags and CSS, Bootstrap. Bootstrap mostly we use this. If you have any advanced web development design, if you want, then we can include AngularJS, Node.js, React.js like this. So we'll try to include one of the application in Django also, React.js, how to bind with our Django. It's possible actually in every web development, AngularJS, React.js, we can include. It's not a matter. But Vue.js is, I'm not aware of that, to be frank.
Okay,
It's not my cup of tea, that is.
okay. Okay.
So I'll intimate you once, whenever I start Django, those who opted initially only Python also, you are eligible to attend my Django sessions by enrolling again, not a problem. So Django with REST API, with Flask also will teach completely. We'll give that package announcement. Django with REST and Flask, we will announce one package. How much fee, I don't know, but exactly we'll see that. But those who opted for full stack development initially, they need not to pay any single rupee. You should continue all frameworks with the same cost only. What we have earlier paid, like Django with REST framework, Flask, everything.
Okay. So can
In
I
how
attend
many
for
months
demo
it will
classes on
finish?
Django, sir?
Yeah, demo classes, happily you can attend 5 sessions. After that, you can decide, not a problem. But we will share the link for everyone. So you can decide after 5 sessions, you can decide enroll or not.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Django with REST API, it takes Django, REST, and Flask all together. It takes minimum 2.5 months. It will take when I start session.
Oh, 2 months. Okay.
2.5 months minimum it takes because that all are
Okay.
framework, and that all frameworks we are going to implement with same Python code only. Those who are having knowledge on Python, whatever we discuss in our class, variables, functions, hoops, concepts, classes, everything, data structure, that will be easy to handle because every logic code in that frameworks completely with Python only, because that are Python based frameworks.
Okay.
If you know
Thank you
Python,
for.
then Django is okay. Otherwise, not.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.